Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about something that the Biden administration and the Bloomberg groups have been crowing about for quite a while now. If you've been paying any attention to them, they've been giving a lot of lip service to the fact that, oh my God, NICS is so successful. Last year, we stopped a record 300,000 potential crimes through NICS. They stopped 300,000 criminals from getting guns, which they would have surely killed somebody with. And it's so successful that we should implement a universal background check so that every gun sold goes through NICS because it's so successful in stopping criminals from getting guns and crimes from being committed. Well, I want to talk tonight about how all of that's bunk in multiple different ways for multiple different reasons. Not only is this some great success of NICS, it's actually a great infringement on the rights of citizens. Criminals aren't being stopped from getting guns, and crimes aren't being stopped from happening. What's really happening is good law-abiding citizens are being denied the right to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So you might ask, how are you saying that's true? They stopped 300,000 denied people from getting guns. Well, there's multiple different things we have to look at here. First off, NICS is incredibly unreliable when it comes to denying people. The majority of people that appeal get their denial overturned. Now, most people who don't get approved, most people who get denied, don't appeal. Because when you look at the appeal process, it's time consuming and you have to have yourself fingerprinted and send it in. So most people who buy a gun, try to buy a gun, get denied, they don't bother to appeal. They'll just try to buy it again and usually it'll go through the next time. In fact, most gun dealers I've spoken to, a lot of the people that they've had denied one week, the next week they're fine. So that happens a lot. I think all of us know someone that's happened to. Maybe it might have even happened to you. It's happened to me. So most of the denials just aren't correct, but most people don't bother to dispute them because they just try again later. Or they say, this is such a hassle, or I don't want to send my fingerprints to the government agency. And they just say, I'll just buy through a private sale. I'll just go home, get on the internet and buy one from a private person that doesn't have to do that. So most denials never get appealed. But let's look at a year of denials. And I'm going to, first off, I want to say here, don't give me credit for this math here. And I'm sorry this is going to be a math lesson, but don't give me credit for it. This is something I read in an article that was linked on a forum years ago. And it kind of stuck with me. And I don't have the exact numbers they use, but I found a year where I could get pretty much the same numbers and apply the same principle to. So I want to look at, I think this is like 2014, 2015, but I'm not certain on the year, but I've got the numbers here. That year there was 90,000 denials. Way less than the 300, but they still say that's 90,000 crimes stopped. 90,000 criminals stopped from getting a gun. But the reality is, when people appealed, they were often overruled. The appeal overturned the denial. And it was at a great rate, a very high rate. And we'll talk about that here. Now, the ATF tries to make it look like even when people appeal, well, they hardly ever get an overturn. Because the way they put their numbers, they're like, oh, there was 90,000 denials. There was only 30,000 appeals, or actually I think they said 31,000 appeals, and only like 4,500 of those got overturned. That's less than 15%. So only 15% are we inaccurate on, which to me, that's not good, period, anyway. But that's not even really the number because they lump VAF applications in with appeals. If you pay attention to their numbers, they say VAF applications and appeals totaled 31,000. You have to go around and look for the numbers to find out what the real numbers are, but similar to what this article found, the real numbers of people that actually sent in appeals is about 5,000. Nearly 30,000, the vast majority of that 31,000 is people filing for a VAF, which is a voluntary appeals file, I do believe is what it stands for. It's basically you providing a bunch of information so you can get a UPIN. And if you ever do get denied, there's a file there they can look at and go, oh, we should overturn that denial right away instead of waiting for them to have to appeal. So there's only about 5,000 appeals, because that was what they put the number at, right above 5,000 for a similar number. And the number of appeals overturned was almost 4,500 out of 5,000. In fact, it was more than that. It actually came out to where it was a little over 90% of all appeals resulted in an overturn of the denial. That means they're wrong 90% of the time on average. Now, you can't totally extrapolate that out to say 90% of all denials, but it does make you think they're not very good at their job. They're not very accurate. And I know my sister got denied once because, there's something in her Alabama file. It was parking tickets from her husband. And the thing I got into the argument with the ATF with is I'd like, well, even if these were her parking tickets, are parking tickets a disqualifying factor? And they're like, no. And they're like, then why are you denying her? So they don't even follow their own rules, for one, and they're incredibly inaccurate. You can just get an idea of that by looking at that 90% rate, 90+% rate of denials being overturned when they're actually appealed. That just shows that they're not denying 300,000 criminals from guns. There's a good chance they're denying 200,000+ law-abiding citizens the ability to exercise their Second Amendment right for no good reason. That's the real way to look at that big number. You look at it and go, wow, with how inaccurate they are, look at how many people they denied that should have been allowed to buy a gun. Even if you just say it's 50%, 150,000 citizens denied the right to exercise their ability to defend themselves, their right to defend themselves. That's a travesty. That's not something to crow about. But they love to crow about it. Now, some people might say, well, even if it's 200,000 people getting denied that should be able to buy guns, at least we kept the hands out of 100,000 people. That's 100,000 murders we stopped. No, that's ridiculous. People that are actually killers, that are actually really bad people who know they're felons and know they can't buy guns, they don't go to gun shops to buy guns. They buy them on the street or they steal them. That's how most criminals who use guns get their guns. The people who use guns that aren't criminals usually had no record up until the point where they snapped and shot their family or something like that, so they would have passed a background check. People who can't pass background checks don't go to gun shops. There's a few that come in that are like, oh crap, I did get in trouble for a misdemeanor when I was 17 that carried a 2-year sentence with it. I didn't think that disqualified me. It's people like that. Or, oh yeah, I was a bad guy when I was 19 or 20. Now I'm 55 and I'm a good upstanding citizen and I didn't even think about that denying me. That's most of the people that actually get true denials. Because like I say, gangbangers, criminals, they don't come into gun shops to buy their guns. When they do, they send their girlfriends or their friend in to buy the gun, the one that's got the clean record. They're not stupid. Most stupid criminals are in prison. They're not actually out on the street committing crimes. It's the smart ones you got to worry about more than anything else. So this whole idea that, well, it'd be worth it to deny 200 if we're stopping 100,000, you're not. You're stopping people who did something wrong years ago or did something they haven't even remembered anymore, or have, a lot of them are people who, if you look at the breakdowns of who gets denied, people who use drugs, people who smoke marijuana. That was one of the biggest things. That was like one of the top 3 denial reasons, because they smoke marijuana. They've had a conviction for marijuana. That's, a real hardened criminal there. It's legal in most places now. So it's just ridiculous reasons these people get denied for. It's very seldom that they're actually a denied person. And if they are denied, it's for a reason that doesn't necessarily make them a violent person. Because like I said, violent people don't go to the gun shops to buy the gun. The people who go to the gun shop to buy a gun because they want to commit a crime are the ones that know my record's clean. I ain't never done anything wrong before, but I'm going to do something wrong now. And those people don't get stopped by NICS unless it's accidentally. And they can get it overturned on appeal or go by a private sale or something. Or just try again. But NICS doesn't stop crimes. It doesn't stop bad people from doing bad things. It doesn't stop good people from turning bad after they bought a gun. It just doesn't. Period. It's like in the state of Washington, they passed a law saying no private sales because all them private sales are resulting in people using guns for crimes. They passed that law. There's been really no change in violent crime. The same people are still committing the crimes. In fact, there's a rise right now because of the pandemic, but there's a rise in violent crimes with guns right now. So obviously getting rid of those private sales that didn't have any background checks had no effect on crime. And that's because, like I said, criminals don't go to the gun shop. The people who get denied at gun shops are people that are like, well, I don't know why I'm denied. That's why people get denied. And a lot of times, up to 90% of the time, it's by accident. It's because of negligence, incompetence on the part of the ATF or the FBI, actually, that conducts the NICS checks. So they're usually false denials. And the people that should be denied, according to the rules, they're not necessarily violent people. There's no way you could say that any of those 300,000 denials would have resulted in a crime if the person had gotten the gun. There's no way to show that at all. But there is a way to show that a vast majority of them got denied for no reason and were denied the ability to exercise their rights in a free country. So this isn't an accomplishment. This isn't a great feat. This is a tragedy and a travesty. It's an infringement on the rights of the people. And when you have numbers like that, you shouldn't be bragging about anything at all. All right, everybody, I want to move on here. And I actually want to combine gun talk and viewer mail here today because I want to answer a question from a viewer about buying guns. They asked me, hey, are guns a good financial investment? And as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to say no. They are not a good financial investment. Because for something to be a good financial investment, I think you have to see a return on your investment. With guns, if you're lucky, you break even. It's almost like just stuffing money under your mattress, which I don't consider an investment. It's still there if you need it because you can resell the gun, make back most of your money, but it's not a real good investment because you didn't have any growth and you might have a little loss. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, but what about some guns like the limited editions and stuff like that, they're collectible and they grow up in value. Well, that just doesn't happen much anymore. When you look at guns like the Colt Python and other guns like the Automags, etc., that were older, that had a lot of value on the secondary market, well, that was because at the time those guns came out, they didn't sell a shit ton of them, and people used them, abused them, and Pythons were not really that good at taking abuse. They were kind of a delicate gun. So later on, there's fewer of them around, and they didn't make them anymore. They were scarce. That's why their value went up. That was a good investment. But it's kind of like the comic book market and the trading card market. As soon as people figured out that, hey, these can someday be valuable, the market was destroyed. There's two things that destroy the market as far as guns, comic books, and all that stuff. Overproduction is one. That killed the comic book industry. It hurts the gun industry. They produce guns at really high rates right now. And most of them are good guns and last longer than you do. So they don't get shot out. Plus, people know if they buy an exclusive gun or a limited gun, they're like, this gun's really valuable. I'm going to take care of it. It's an investment. And because everyone who buys one does that, there's still a lot of them around later. Any gun that's sold now is a collectible. You can go 10 years from now, they're probably all still going to be in the box practically. Because people go, this is an investment gun. Just like people did with, I'm buying these comic books as an investment in the 90s. Well, no, they were overproducing them, producing multiple covers, blah, blah, blah. There was just too much of them, and people didn't just read them. That's what made comic books and trading cards worth money, is when they came out originally, kids like me read them and then used silly putty to take pictures out of them or traced in them and stuff, and they were worthless. We threw them away. That's why there was hardly any of them left later, and they were worth a lot of money. If we would have put them in little Mylar baggies and put a cardboard backing in them and stuff like people do today, they'd still all be here and they wouldn't be worth anything. Same thing with guns. Too many people know certain guns are supposed to be collectible, and there's too many guns made of every brand that's made now. So no, they don't really have that chance to become collectible. And even the ones that have, you also run into a problem that you also run into in comic books and other things. That is reprints. But in the gun community, it's reissuing the guns again, like with Colt, with their new snake line of guns. It is having an effect on the secondary market value of the old Colts. The old Colt collectors are really struggling to keep the value up. A lot of people are losing money there. It's like the rarity of fully automatic guns. Because they're so rare and you can't make new ones, they're very expensive. If tomorrow they took the rule down, let's say you invested, I bought 20 of them. I've got 20 fully automatic guns and they're worth $100,000 each. But tomorrow if they went, yeah, that law's stupid, you can make guns again, make fully automatic guns again. Well, then they'd be like, oh, well, yeah, these aren't worth anything anymore. Those are worth like $2,000 each now because you can make a brand new one for $2,000. So no, guns are not a good financial investment. Like I said, they're a good hedge, a good way to save money because it's basically putting money in a savings account but having something you can show for it as long as you take care of it. And they can be valuable in other ways, like I say, like hedging your bets against, disaster or economic collapse, etc., which we'll cover more in another segment because this is not the segment for it. But right now I'm going to say not a good financial investment, but there are other ways they can be invaluable as far as investments. But we'll talk about that, like I said, probably tomorrow. All right, everybody, I want to end the show with our pet rescue of the day. And today we have Katana, who is being brought to us by Cigar Daddy-O Smoke, or Jimmy from Boston, as he's apparently also known. And as you can see here, Katana is a nice, pretty little kitty cat. I love this pattern of kitty cat. They're very cute. And he says that Katana is an awesome cat. He feels some need for some reason, he felt the need to tell me that Katana is a good climber, as opposed to all those usual cats that, are just clumsy as fuck and can barely get on the couch. I think most cats are good climbers, so I don't know why he added that. But one thing he did add is he said that Katana likes to watch TV with him, likes to follow his favorite sports ball team, the Bruins, and that she's even basically the colors of the Bruins. So that's a good thing there. So it shows you, cats can have things in common with their owners, I guess. Likes the sports ball. I'm not with them on that one, but I just wanted to take a moment here today to show some people, have relationships with their cats that are more like relationships people have with dogs. Some cats are very dog-like, and having a cat that wants to watch TV with you, that's an awesome thing. So I want to take a moment today to point out here Katana and say congratulations to her. I'm assuming it's a her with a name like Katana. Congratulations on finding your forever home, and congratulations to Cigar Daddy-O Smoke, or Jimmy from Boston, who I don't know which name he prefers there. And congratulations to him on finding himself a kitty cat that will watch the sports ball with him. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I'll just sign off as usual by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, it is what it is. It could be a lot worse, but it could also be better. And in the very near future, if we start ignoring the profiteers, the fearmongers, the propagandists, the people who want to do things that are hurtful to the gun community to further their own financial interest, if we start putting those people in their place and ignoring them, what things will be in the very near future for people who love the Second Amendment and freedom in general is actually better.